Hi, my name is Elizabeth Green, and in this video, we're going to be going over the formatting of an automatic campaign inside of a bulk file. So if that's something you want to learn, just stay tuned. So we have several different videos on our channel going through the formatting of bulk files for creating different campaigns. It was brought to my attention through one of the comments that we don't actually have the formatting on our channel for an automatic campaign. So if you would like to create an automatic campaign using a bulk file, this video is going to help you with that. Now, I'm going to run over briefly the formatting. I'm not going to go super in depth on what exactly a bulk file is, how to adjust bids, etc. If you are interested in learning out, there's plenty of other videos on this channel. I am going to go very briefly over this structure line by line, just to kind of give you a recap. So if you're not familiar what a bulk file is, it is basically a view of any campaigns or advertising inside of a spreadsheet. And depending on which what is contained in this column A or the record type tells you what needs to be contained on each of these individual lines and what so depending on the record type, you have to input certain things on that specific row to give Amazon the information it needs to either create the file or make changes to existing campaigns inside of your ad account. So I am going to have a link to this template below the video. If you would like to go and download this, then you can just change certain naming structures, like rename it by the campaign name, rename it by the ad group name, and then perhaps change if you want to set different bids for these different targeting types, as well as pause or enable any of the targeting types. So let's dive into this really quick. Some of this, if you're familiar with a bulk file, will be recapped, so I'm going to try not to spend too much time on this. But basically what you need to do if you want to create an automatic campaign, you can only include these three rows here. So the campaign, the ad group, as well as the ad. Now, if you are familiar with a bulk file, a campaign row is going to contain all of the information that is needed to create the campaign. So this is where you're actually going to name this campaign. So whatever you want to input here, you want to have a good naming structure in all of your campaigns. I recommend starting with some sort of product identifier to tell you what products are going to be advertised within this campaign, then some indication that it's an automatic campaign, and then perhaps maybe your bidding strategy, or if you have a specific strategy with this campaign. That's kind of the general naming structure we follow within our agency, but something that will help you quickly identify your campaign, what's contained in it. However, so this record type's campaign, we need to name it. You need to set the campaign daily budget, and that is going to be here. So for instance, this one is 10, so that means the campaign daily budget for this particular campaign will be $10. You have the option of including a portfolio ID. So if you are utilizing portfolios and you would like to automatically have whatever campaign you're creating placed into a particular portfolio, you can enter that ID here. The way you would actually go and find the portfolio ID, and we do go over this in some of the other videos on campaign creation, you would actually go and download a bulk file, and the first tab within a bulk file says portfolios, and you will have a list of all of the names of your portfolios and then the portfolio IDs associated with them. You would simply copy and paste whatever the desired portfolio ID is in here. Now, this is the campaign start date. You want to input when it's starting. Generally, you're always going to want to input the current date. You cannot put a previous date. However, you can put a future date. For instance, if you wanted to, for some reason, launch a campaign and you wanted for it to start like 3 days from now, you can input that date and then it would automatically start up then. I recommend just starting today 9 times or 99.9% of the time you're just going to be inputting the current date. And actually a keyboard shortcut to always input the current date is if you hit Control and then colon on your keyboard, it will input whatever the current date is. So today it is going to be 12/21 here. If you have an end date, like I said, 99.9% of the time you're not going to put an end date. If you wanted a specific date for the campaign to end, you would enter it here. It's always going to be specified as an automatic campaign, so you're just going to put auto in this targeting type. And then the last two things you will need on the campaign row is going to be that this campaign is enabled. So you say you want to set it up to run, and then the bidding strategy. Now, if you leave out this bidding strategy here, it will automatically be set to so it used to be able to be automatically set to dynamic down only. However, if you've recently set up an automatic campaign manually, you'll notice that the default is now changed to dynamic up and down bidding. So it's possible if you leave out this dynamic up down only, it may now default to the dynamic up and down. That's actually something I should test, but so I would specify down only, or you can do fixed bidding or dynamic up and down if you would like. Then the next thing you would do is create. So this is essentially creates your campaign, but to fully have this created, if I uploaded just this campaign row, what would happen is I believe it will show up in my campaigns, but it'll have an error and it'll say that it doesn't have any ad groups. So then we need to set up the ad group, and then under this row ad, we are placing our products into this ad group. So what we want to do for the ad group is we are going to be copying down this campaign name, because that's going to be how Amazon decides which ad group it's going to place this, or excuse me, how it decides which campaign it's going to be placing this ad group into. Then we also need to name our ad group. So this is the row where we're going to create the ad group on, and then this is going to be where we place our default bid. So if you have created an automatic campaign manually, you know that they just have your default bid, and that's what's going to be placed here. Now, if you do not include these additional 4 rows to specify a specific bid for each of the 4 targeting types, what's going to happen is all 4 of these targeting types are going to be set to whatever default bid you place here. So if you're not going to be inputting individual bids for the targeting types, I would put some sort of bid that you're comfortable with in this column. Otherwise, if you're going to be specifying individual bids for the 4 targeting types, then this is sort of just a placeholder, and these individual bids will kind of override this, but you do need to have a max bid inputted to make the file process correctly. Then the next thing you need to do would be, after the max bid, you want to have ad group status enabled. So yes, we do want to have this ad group running when we upload. And then the very last one that is necessary to create this auto would be the ad row. So again, we're going to just copy down the campaign name. We want this product to be placed into this campaign. And then you're also going to copy down the ad group name. So whatever you put here, you need to place in this column on this row. Now, one thing to note on the campaign name and the ad group name, you need to make absolutely sure that you are typing these in exactly. It's much easier to copy it anyways rather than retyping it, but the added benefit of just a copy and paste would be that you would ensure that you don't accidentally put an additional space in front, behind, etc. You want it copied absolutely exactly, including like uppercase and lowercase and all that. Then under this row, or on this row and in this column, you need to make sure you put the SKU. So if you're familiar, bulk files are always tied to the SKU, not the ASIN, when you input any of your products. So you need to put the SKU. If for some reason you wanted to put additional products inside of this campaign and this ad group, you want to add multiple different products, what you would do is you would duplicate this row. So for instance, if I insert one below, I would simply just copy and paste this over. So it would be exactly the same. We still want to place it, we still want to place it in this ad group. We want to place it in this campaign. And then what you would do is you would simply type in whatever additional SKU you would like to input into the ad group. So for this one, I have SKU 1, SKU 2, and then as well under status, we're going to put enabled, meaning we want these 2 products to be enabled inside of this ad group. And again, if you're just creating a single auto, you have a single bidding, you're perfectly fine just running it kind of at a default and starting up. Then these 3 rows, or in this case 4, because we have 2 products, would be the only thing I would actually be necessary to create this automatic campaign. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to these 4 rows, because now we have the added option of setting different bids based on 4 different targeting types. And this is how you would kind of this is how you would set individual settings for each of these 4 targeting types. And I recommend you just use this template. And again, there will be a link down in the description box below. You can go and you can make a copy of the template and modify it, keep it as kind of a backup or whatever. But this will be what you will do. So for the record type, you will see product targeting. And then again, we're copying down the campaign name exactly. We're copying down the ad group name exactly. And then under here, keyword or product targeting, we have our 4 different targeting types. And this is the exact formatting needed to have for these 4 targeting types. It was kind of messy before, but if you input the targeting types like this, it should go through, and that's why I recommend just kind of copying and pasting this template. As well as under match type, it's going to be targeting expression predefined. So now I'm going to get into where you would set the bids for these individual targeting types, and then how you can pause and enable. So a popular technique right now is to split out your automatic campaigns either into 4 different separate automatic campaigns, or perhaps put a close match and loose match together, and then substitutes and complements, because typically speaking, not 100% of the time, substitute and complements will pull ASINs, so they sit up on product pages, and then close match and loose match oftentimes show up on keywords or like search terms. It's not always exactly cut and dry, but generally speaking, that's kind of how it works out. So a popular method would be to create one automatic campaign enabling either 1 or 2 of these, and then another campaign with these 2, or perhaps 1 and 1 enabled. So what you would do if you were interested in, maybe we only want to run a high bid close match targeting. So what we would do is under status, we would have enabled. And then under these 4 ones here, and I'm again just copying and pasting, you would put paused. So if you put paused under status, what it's going to do is it's going to pause these other 3, and then it will only have this one as enabled. So only the close match would be running in this particular campaign if we formatted our bulk file like this. And for instance, if I wanted to put a higher bid on close match, I would input whatever I want from my bid here on this row that contains the close match. And then honestly, it doesn't really matter if these ones are paused, what I place here. Technically speaking, you could even leave these blank, and then it would just default to whatever this max bid is. But if you were interested in creating different biddings here, another thing you could do, if this is enabled, you can have all of these enabled, which means all 4 of these targeting types would be running. But maybe we want to put a higher bid on our close match, and then only put like say 77 cents or something on our loose match, complements, and substitutes. So you can kind of see how this could be formatted, and you can proactively put whatever settings you want for each individual targeting type. And then for instance, let me also demonstrate if we wanted to split out those other targeting types. So say we want to do close match, loose match, and then complements and substitutes in another one, and we're still using these 2 same products. What I would do is I'm just going to say this is going to be my auto, close match, and loose match. And honestly, I'm just going to name my ad group the same as my campaign name. We typically do one ad group, one ad group, one campaign. And so I'm going to demonstrate what that looks like. So that would be, here I have my close match, loose match. These two are the enabled. And then what I would do is I would copy this one here. And then I'm just going to do substitute and complements. And this is just the name I've chosen. Of course, you can choose whatever you would like. Another thing is make sure you're changing your names, because if they are the exact same name, it's going to mess it up. And it's just not, it's not going to do what you want it to do. So you do need to make sure that your formatting is correct. So then the last thing I would do, these two are enabled. I want to switch this now. So I'm going to do, these ones will be the enabled, so my complements and substitutes, and then I'm going to put paused on the close match and loose match. And this is what it would look like. So what it would do is it would create two different automatic campaigns. Now I will show you, if you are wanting to do one single automatic campaign and then you want to create additional ad groups with those separate targeting types in them, I will now demonstrate what that's going to look like. So what we're going to do now, it's all going to be in the same campaign. So I'm going to delete these. So I don't want another campaign. And then what I would do is I'm going to copy down this campaign name. And then I'm going to put my automatic campaign. So just to make this video a lot shorter, I'm going to show you what it would look like if I only had these two enabled inside an ad group, and then I'm going to create another ad group with these two enabled. And of course, you can use these same principles to have an individual ad group for each one of the targeting types, but I don't want to take up much longer and create 4 of these. So what I'm going to do, I have my campaign name, it's the very same. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually copy down. I'm not copying the campaign because I don't need the campaign line. I've already created my campaign, but I do want to create another ad group. So I'm going to copy all the way from the ad group down. All of these, I'm just gonna hit Control C and then Control V. And then so currently right now, what this is doing, this would pretty much just be duplicating it. And I think you might see an error on this, this one not go through. But what I'm gonna do is I'm referencing the same campaign. So notice this is all the same campaign name. So this additional ad group is going to be placed inside of this campaign. But see, this is pretty much creating this exact same ad group twice. So now what I'm going to do, because I have my close match and loose match, I'm just going to rename on that ad group line. I'm just going to say sub, as I did before. So instead of having that new naming at the campaign level, I'm now doing it at the ad group level. And then I'm just going to copy this one down. So what it's saying is, here's my campaign, and because all of these are exactly the same, it's going to create all of this within this row right here. So here we have our very first ad group, and it has our 2 SKUs, and then it has the close match and loose match enabled, and then it has the complements and substitute paused. So then here is our additional ad group right here that we created, and we named it something different. So now for each of these subsequent rows, I'm copying down the ad group. So it's telling, when I upload this file, it's going to say, all right, all of this stuff, because I copied down the ad group, this is our new ad group. And then we have to specify on our product targeting rows what we want to have inside of this ad group. Hopefully that wasn't too convoluted. But so for this one, we're only doing substitutes and complements. So we would take this enabled, and we would want both of our substitutes and complements to be enabled. And then we would put paused on our close match and loose match, and of course we can put whatever bids we want. Don't put a letter, I'm just gonna say $1, but of course we can have whatever bids we want at these two levels. And that would be how you would create one automatic campaign and then have 2 individual ad groups. And again, you can name these whatever you like. I like some sort of a clean naming structure so you can easily identify what's contained within the ad group or the campaign. But hopefully this kind of gives you an idea of how this is going to be structured and how you can use a bulk file, because you saw I did this quite quickly. It's a lot of copy and paste. So I think the main benefit to this video is actually going to be this particular template. I will leave it like this so you can kind of look at the structure and then change it up however you need. Copy these rows over so you don't have to absolutely remember all of the different formatting. So if you have any questions on this video, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. We always answer every single comment we get on any of our videos. And if you want to see more videos like this, I suggest you, if you like the video, definitely like it, and as well as subscribe to the channel, because we're always dropping videos like this. And if you have any additional videos that you would like to see on the channel that would be helpful to you, make sure you leave that in a comment as well, and we will make sure to get to them whenever we can.